What's up guys, in this video we are bang shifting our Project Camaro. All right guys, today is the day that we finally start turning some wrenches on our new Camaro, and I'm really excited. Now, as you guys know, we have some big plans for this car, but today we're gonna start off with the basics. Now, it may be a basic mod, but in my opinion, it's one of the most important for any stick shift car. So let me show you what we have. A stick shift V8 American muscle car isn't complete without a short throw shifter. It just really adds to the overall fun and excitement of driving a stick shift car in the first place. And when it came to finding one for our new Camaro, I couldn't think of a better company than Hurst. Now this is their Billet Plus short throw shifter for all 16 to 2020 Camaros. It's designed to reduce shift throws by 40%, and it's just a really nice piece. Now we went with the classic Hurst white shift ball, which I think is also going to look great inside the car. They also offer a pistol grip shifter, as well as one that's designed to accept the factory shift knob if you do want a stock look. Now I'm going to walk you through the entire process of installing this shifter in our Camaro, and it all starts inside of the car. Now, believe it or not, unlike most shifters that you can install from inside of the car, our 6th gen Camaro actually requires most of the work from underneath the car, but we still have work to do here. So I'm going to start by removing the trim around the shifter, so I can then remove the knob, shift boot, and lower shift boot, and after that's all out, we can get the car up on the lift and start underneath. Now that we have the lower shift boot removed, these 4 10mm bolts that also have to come out. So we'll be able to unbolt the shifter when we get underneath the car. All right guys, so like I said, pretty much all the heavy lifting to get the shifter installed is from underneath the car. And the first thing that I need to tackle is to remove this entire exhaust system. So I'm gonna get the cross member out of the way for the exhaust, start unbolting it from the cats, and then we're gonna lower the whole system out of the way. The first thing I wanna do is just get some support under the exhaust system. So as I start unbolting stuff, it's all just not gonna crumble and fall on me. First thing to go is this cross member. Next, we have to start getting the exhaust disconnected, which is gonna start with these clamps upwards of the cat. Just enough to get that out. And then next, we have the exhaust flange on the passenger side. So before I start removing hangers, I want to make sure to unplug these motors in the back for the NPP valves. Last thing I want to do is start lowering down an exhaust system and forget to unhook these and end up damaging the wiring. When you're taking these exhaust hangers off, give them a little spritz of some lube or some silicone, and it'll make your job a lot easier trying to get them to slide. There she goes. Now with the rear exhaust hangers, it's best just to unbolt the hangers instead of trying to get the system out of the rubber isolators. There's simply just 2 nuts securing it to the car. Lift it up. There she goes. All right guys, you can see exhaust out of the way. Now we have a few of these heat shields and this tiny cross member to deal with to get those removed so we can gain access to our drive shaft, because that has to come out as well. So 4 13mm bolts. Get that out of our way. Well, that'll be fun to get back in. Guys, same things always goes for any time you remove a drive shaft from your car. Always make sure to mark its location, line it back up afterwards. You want to do it on the front and the rear diff. Make sure it goes back exactly the same. Now we're going to unbolt the 18mm bolts for the drive shaft. So what I'm gonna do first is just crack these loose for the center support bearing. Yoke. There she goes. There you have it. Drive shaft is out. All right guys, so this is what we've been after. I can actually see the shifter assembly now. Now it's time to get this transmission lowered. So I'm going to support it with a post jack and then loosen the 4 mounting bolts for the trans cross member and then gently get this thing lowered down so we can get up there, pull the stock shifter out. The tricky part about this is there's 2 pins up here that are incredibly difficult to see. All right guys, factory shifter is out of the Camaro. Now we need to finish our disassembly and start reassembling our new Hurst shifter. And that's going to start with getting rid of this stock shift boot here. We can stock shift boot out of the way, stock boot off, and then remove our factory shifter from the housing. Now it's really important to read the instructions because Hurst states that this gasket needs to remain inside of the housing for when you reassemble it. So make sure if that does come out, to push that back in. All right, you're gonna notice in your new Hurst shifter kit, it's going to include 2 different pins, and this is to actually hook up the new shifter to the trans shift linkage on top of the transmission. Now, believe it or not every Camaro is the same. That's why they provide you with 2 pins. You need to test fit these pins to ensure they actually go through the linkage on top of the trans. Now, if they don't, for whatever reason, you will need to just kind of machine these down a little bit with a piece of emery cloth or sandpaper until it does. Make sure to test fit these before you install your new shifter. All right, I've sanded down our pin a few times, cleaned it up with some Scotch-Brite pads, and that is a perfect fit. So this pin for the shift linkage is ready to go. All right, next we're gonna take these supplied bushings that Hurst gives you and install them into our new shift linkage. It's important to make sure that the flange faces on the inside of the linkage. Now, another good thing to mention with this new shift linkage from Hurst is they actually mark it shifter side with an S and T for transmission side. So make sure this is in the correct orientation. This side should bolt up to the actual shifter and this side to the trans shift linkage. All right, next we're gonna mount the shifter to our new link bar. There is an orientation for how both of these are offset. Make sure to follow the diagram included in the instructions to make sure that you have it right. All right, now that we have the new shifter in place, we want to grease those bushings that we just put in a little bit with the supplied grease. I'm just going to go ahead and actually just insert some right in here. And again on the other side. Then we'll take the other pin supplied with the kit, link these together, and we'll secure it with one of the pins that we took out from the original linkage. All right guys, we got all new Hurst parts, including our linkage and shifter bolted to the factory bracket. Time to put it back in the car. And then I can take these locking pins, sneak around the side here. And there's one. Guys, shifter assembly's in place. We're gonna raise the trans back up, get this cross member for the transmission line back up to the body, and get this bolted back in. And then really, it's just a matter of reassembling everything all over again that we initially took apart. So that's going to include getting the drive shaft back in, full exhaust system. But
I know it's a lot of work. I personally think it's going to be well worth it.
All right, guys, so now we have to attend to the rest of the parts inside of the car, which includes the factory shift knob and this center console trim. Now, this factory shift knob has to go, and it's secured by a locking tab inside the boot. So what we're gonna do is pry this away, remove the shift knob so we can finish up with the installation. Now, I'm not trying to cut the fabric. Trying to get rid of some of this glue. I'll be really careful. I don't want to pop these stitches. Okay, ring removed. All right, now we have our new billet piece from Hurst that now we're going to install into our stock boot, facing this way. And we want to make sure that we get the boot inside this little recess on the brand new upper stick that we have from Hurst. With that through, take our zip tie, make sure to get around all of the boot. After all that laboring work underneath the car, we are back in the car, and the first thing we want to do is put some lube on these O-rings of the new shifter to make sure everything moves around smoothly, nothing binds up, keeps everything quiet, so on and so forth. Moment of truth. All right, guys, last but not least, thread down this locking sleeve. The fantastic, classic Hurst shift knob. Threads in after that. And that is it. All right, guys, first road test after installing our new Hurst Billet Plus short throw shifter. I've only driven the car about a minute, and I already love how this shifter feels. It is just so precise in every way. It really gives you those fantastic firm shifts that you're looking for. And when you're in gear, you know you're in gear. There is no question. Now, when I was installing it, I mentioned that this shifter reduces the throw by 40%. And as soon as you get in the car, you can tell. You barely have to move this thing from first, second, third, and fourth gear. It is almost instantaneous. I just love how the car feels. And like I mentioned before, one of the great parts about driving a stick shift car is you feel more connected to the driving experience, and adding a short throw shifter adds even more to that experience. This thing just makes you want to bang shift gears every time you get in the car. This was a lot of work, but well worth the upgrade. Trust me, you will think the exact same thing once you drive your Camaro after this is installed. Well guys, that's gonna wrap everything up for this video. Make sure if you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date on all the new progress on our Project Camaro, and I will see you guys next time.